Chasing the Darkness by Cassie Sanchez, narrated by Dryw Mcarthur. To the three men in my life who inspired, encouraged, and supported me through every step of this journey, you bring magic and love to my life.
Prologue. Aurelian Palace, Pandaren. Torches flickered, and the thump of boots echoed through the hallway as Commander Drexus Zoldak of the Watchguard strode down the corridor toward the war room, followed by his soldiers. Castle guards and servants flattened themselves against the wall, their expressions a mixture of fear and grief. Hours before, the people of Pandaren had celebrated their victory in the war against the Vastanes. Cheers of celebration, though, became wails of sorrow as the palace and the city of Aurelian crumbled into chaos. "How did he get in?" Drexus asked. "We're still working on that, Commander Zoldak." Drexus stopped and slowly turned toward the guard, who glanced up at him and winced. "Work faster," he warned. The guard swallowed, nodding. Drexus continued down the corridor, clenching his jaw, trying to rein in his anger. Two soldiers saluted as he pushed open the heavy wooden doors into a room buzzing with activity. Council members argued near the fireplace, and his generals surrounded a large oval table, studying a map of Pandaren. They stood to attention, saluting as Drexus approached. Kenneth Brennett, head advisor to the king, sat in a corner, holding his head. One of the council members hurried over. "Is it true? Is King Valeri dead?" "It's true," Drexus said. He ignored the questions yelled at him and walked across the room to put a hand on Kenneth's bony shoulder. "They need you. Now, more than ever." Kenneth nodded, set his shoulders, and approached the center of the room. Drexus stood at his side, arms crossed. "Attention, please," Kenneth said, silencing the room. "As many of you suspect, the king is dead. Murdered in his study this evening." Murmurs filled the room. "How?" someone called out.
Kenneth looked up at Drexus, who inhaled, resting his sizable hands on the table as he regarded each council member, noble and general.
"An Fire Spectral killed King Valeri." Gasps and shouts of anger reverberated off the stone walls. "I thought the Spectrals were on our side," one of the council members said. Drexus fisted his hands. "So did we." "What do we know about the Spectrals?" Kenneth asked. General Charles stepped forward, her eyes darting to Drexus. "There are two main types of magic, physical and mental. A spectral with physical magic can either control an element or is an amp." "What are amps?" one of the nobles asked, nearing the table. "Amps, or amplifiers, have unnatural speed and strength," the general said.
"The mentals are a little trickier, but we've determined there are 5 types: shields, healers, vaulters, trackers, and psychs." "Psychs?" Kenneth looked from the general to Drexus.
"They can move objects with their minds," Drexus said. "How do you have this information?" "When the Spectrals joined forces with the Watchguard, I assigned General Charles to obtain as much information about them as possible, just in case." "With that kind of power," a councilman said, "how are we going to defend ourselves? Naturals can't fight against magic." Drexus's eye twitched at the whine in the man's voice. "I'm currently working on something that will neutralize their power. But first, we need strong leadership. I think Kenneth Brennett should rule as steward until the council deems it unnecessary." The murmurings grew, and a few council members' faces turned red. "What about Queen Valeri?" one of them asked. Drexus refrained from rolling his eyes. "She's grieving the loss of her husband, and with her diminished health, we cannot expect her to take the throne." He sensed a shift in the room as men and women nodded their heads. A shift in his favor.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?